So let me, at the outset, thank Professor Bindu and CRRID for having me over today. I think it's a very, I would say, a privilege to come and speak here, because I have had, when I was at the RBI, many occasions to interact with Professor Rajpal Malhotra. And I had never known that he has set up such a beautiful institution, but now I have seen it, and it is really a very good place. So I'm really thankful to you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I want to start with one anecdote. We are talking about Viksit Bharat, Viksit Punjab. I want to start with one anecdote. Professor, I'll be speaking for about 30-35 minutes. Right. Is that okay? Right. Yeah. So it's September 2003. And I'm working in the Reserve Bank of India as a GM. And I'm on a postdoc studies at Harvard. And in one of the seminars, Professor Richard Cooper looks at me and says, "Are you Dr. Charan from the Reserve Bank?" I said, "Yes." So, and Professor Richard Cooper, that time was in his 70s, and he was, Professor Richard Cooper was in his 70s, and he had been advisor to Jimmy Carter, and he has been playing a very important role from a very young age in policy making in the US administration. So he invited me out for lunch, and that's the first time I had gone to the Harvard Club for a lunch, very lavish, very expensive. As we sat down for lunch, he asked me a question. "Dr. Charan, remember September 2003. I've never been able to forget that lunch. It's still alive in my mind as it's unfolding. Dr. Charan, why do Americans respect Indians?" Now, in our country we generally think anybody who's above 60, and certainly if he's above 70, is senile. So my first reaction was, Professor Richard Cooper is 77, obviously is senile. So I asked him, "Professor, excuse me." So, "Dr. Charan, I'm wondering, why do Americans respect Indians?" I was surprised. So the rest of the lunch only went on discussing. He kept asking me that question, and I kept answering him that India, very hardworking people, very honest, very straightforward, knows about computers, knows English, very adaptable, anybody can come and they adapt to it, and they're very liberal. Whatever you can imagine, I was telling him. Nothing cut ice. Time for dessert. And then I told him, "Professor Cooper, I'm sorry, I'm not able to tell you. You tell me, why do Americans respect Indians?" And he told me, "It's obvious. It's Pokhran." Surprised, "Pokhran?" He said, "Of course. We had all the satellites on you. We had the CIA working inside you. We knew everything that you are doing. You have seen what is happening in Iran. They knew exactly where the sites are, where research is being conducted, and they could dig 300 meters into the ground to violate that. So they knew everything. And you could still do Pokhran? And you were so fearless. You knew we will do sanctions, and you still had the courage to do it." I learned from that interaction in September 2003, the world respects power. That's all. You can be a weak tiger, but you are a tiger. And everybody stands at bay. You can be a fat rat, doesn't matter. They'll still come cornering you. World respects power. It is unfolding in front of you in the last 3 months. World respects power. China is trying to flex its muscle. When England was at the peak, they also did these things. When America was taking over from England, they did many things. When China is trying to take over from America, they are also doing many things. While you will be on this journey of attaining power, in a nutshell, you are calling it Viksit Bharat. You will face numerous challenges. You should face numerous challenges. What is the victory without the challenge? There have been many kings on this planet, but we all remember Ram because of Ravan. The challenge was massive. The victory was celebratory. There is no victory worth celebration, worth memory without a challenge. We will face challenges. Did Japan, while they were growing, matching America in 1980s, and you should read that lovely book by Kenneth Rogoff, just released, where Japan is matching America for the per capita income, and the whole of Europe and America comes together to now cut Japan to size. And one after the other, they have the Plaza Accord, the Louvre Accord, that Japan has to be clipped. The second anecdote I want to share with you is when first time the Prime Minister spoke about a $5 trillion economy. The Japanese delegation coming all the way from Japan, and I'm an RBHA professor at IIM Bangalore, and I get a call from CII Delhi. Professor Singh, can you join us for the Indian delegation? There's a Japanese delegation here, and they are bringing a professor along with them. So I said, well, Delhi is full of professors. Why do you want me all over the way from Bangalore? Nevertheless, I came. In that interaction, something very interesting happened. The Japanese delegation had industrialists, had senior public officials, but there was one 85-year-old professor, looked aged, very experienced. And after the deliberations were almost coming to an end, and they said, Professor would like to speak to Dr. Charan Singh. And the professor asked me, Dr. Singh, are you ready for a $5 trillion economy? And I'm teaching in a management school. And I said, of course, why 5? I'm ready for a 10. And he looked straight into my eye and said, sorry, Professor, you're not ready. Your body language shows you're not ready. The $5 trillion economy, the professor, after a 10-minute story, told me, and he reminded all of us about the Plaza Accord and the Louvre Accord and everything that Japan went through. The lost decades of Japan are not an accident. They were deliberate. They were engineered and maneuvered. And not one lost decade. They had almost 3 lost decades. And Japan can never look up ever again to be number 1 or 2 or 3 economy. And now, of course, the story is different. 40% of Japan is above 60 years of age, and you know that's not the age for recovery or growth. India is only about 8% of people above 60 years of age, and that's not going to last too long. We are in a demographic dividend only for 20 years. Then aging is going to take over even in India. So we have a very little window through which we have to operate. And he explained to me, and he said, the $5 trillion economy will first happen in the universities and think tanks. The professors will know about it. They will write about it. They will talk and debate about it. Their students will start talking about it. The newspapers and TV channels will discuss it. The industrialists and trade associations will translate it. And only then a $5 trillion economy will translate on the ground. Till today, we are not at 5 trillion. And the reason is simple. It's not yet gone into the minds of the professors, the think tanks, And that's why, Dr. Bindu, I want to congratulate you for organizing this talk. It is in such university environments, think tanks, when we start talking about it, it will percolate down and then it will translate on the ground. I'll come on it a little more while I conclude my talk. My talk is going to be divided into 3 sections. I'm going to be very brief with data because all of you know the data. It's not very exciting. Punjab was number 1 in 2000 in terms of per capita income. Today it is 14 in terms of per capita income. And that's not the stoppage. It's falling further. When you look at the sectoral distribution, we are still 31% is contributed by the primary sector, 45 is from the tertiary sector. I therefore say Punjab should stop calling itself an agriculture state. Agriculture will continue to play a role, but tertiary sector in terms of the trend is almost 1.5 times that of agriculture. If you look at the state's own tax revenues, they're coming down. And if you look at non-tax revenue, they are also coming down. The share in central tax is going up and grants from the center are going up. That's the statistics. If you look at the state-wise tax GDP ratio, we are again down in the rank to about 14%. I'm not going to elaborate on this data because the audience knows this, and therefore I'm just going to touch on certain points and keep moving. If you look at the composition of revenue expenditure of Punjab, and this is the latest data, the committed expenditure in 2011-12, salaries, wages, pensions, interest payments, is 81% of the total revenue expenditure. I was at the Reserve Bank, did a study in 2002-2003, and I was surprised. I said, your committed expenditure is 100% of your revenue expenditure. 2002-2003. What sort of public debt management? What sort of budget management? What type of fiscal management is happening in Punjab? And if you look at the trend of capital expenditure vis-a-vis the revenue expenditure, you know that trend is also downward looking. So therefore, the debt to GDP ratio is 50% for a state, which is very, very high. And if you look at highest in the country, and interest payments as percentage of the state GDP is about 3.5%. Again, very, very high. The fiscal deficit is around 5%, 4.8 to be precise, extremely high. Investment ratio in Punjab at one point was 33%, today is 16%. What does it say? Where is the growth going to come from? And capital expenditure, I've already discussed, is very, very low. Unemployment rate according to CMI is 8.5%. All India figures is around 7.6%. So, when we in rest of India, sitting in Delhi, look at young boys and girls coming in handcuffed things, we know there is a force which is playing a role in pushing them out and taking the risk. The female labor force participation again is around 22%, and that's pretty low. The gender gap in wages between males and females and gender gap in literacy is also very high relative to the rest of the country. Let me now, having finished this data part, to show you that we are not at a very good spot. Nobody is to be blamed. No single government has to be blamed. Things haven't happened yesterday. The deterioration has been happening from 2000. So for 25 years, in front of us, the fall has taken place. So I'm not casting any aspirations on any single policymaker or anybody. All I'm saying is the trend is not really a helpful trend. And we as economists, trained economists, When you see something witnessing in front of your eyes and you see the collapses taking place, it's very, very scary. Also, it reminds you that there are opportunities, there are ways and means, there are techniques where we can handle this, provided we have an opportunity to play a role and stem this free fall. As I've mentioned, the world respects strategy, the world respects power. As I've mentioned, to grow, you need to have strategy and you need to have participation. The CII story tells you there's a need for a strategy and everybody has a role to play. The Richard Cooper story tells you respect power, that's what the world does, and the world respects strategy. That's how you will go on. Given this background, we all know the Prime Minister made a call at Niti Aayog to the states that please join me as a team to make India Viksit Bharat. 5 states already have a Viksit Bharat plan. Out of those 5 states, Gujarat has, UP has, Maharashtra has, Karnataka has, even Punjab has. 470 pages are there. And I have had the good luck, and this is about a year-old report, to read this page by page. I've read it, and now I have compared it with Gujarat, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and I can tell you, again not finding faults with anyone, anything can be improved upon. I think there is so much of scope for debate and discussion in that document. And that document has been prepared with the help of some academicians. So again, not laying blame on anyone, but I think it needs lots of thinking. For example, should we target, as mentioned in the document, a television set in every house even today, when I can watch all the TV and more than that on my cell phone? Should I target a cell phone for every individual in the household, as mentioned in the document, or not necessary? We have to think about it. We have to think about watershed programs and many things. And this is just an illustration that I am mentioning. Should a dining table be provided in every household? I'm not sure. I've traveled across the world, and now I don't mind sitting on the floor and having my lunch. It's so convenient. All I'm saying is, we need to deliberate as to what will be the targets of Viksit Bharat in our state. That's all I'm saying. And let me repeat once again that I'm not finding fault with any single document, any single regime, because the free fall has been for 25 years. Now, I want to come to the third part where I want to make suggestions and look at what sort of a Viksit Bharat is Bharat going to become, and what sort of a Viksit Punjab should target. While we were thinking about these issues, and I must share this secret with you, actually it's not a secret, the first document on Viksit India or India 2047 was made at IGRO Foundation. In May 2021, IGRO Foundation was invited by Niti Aayog to do a study. And you know, this Prime Minister doesn't talk in light things. We were asked, and at that point in May 2021, remember, first phase of COVID was getting over. Second phase was in. It was big trouble time. People were not sure of their next breath. Countries were not sure of the next month. And here, the Prime Minister of the country is talking of next 25 years. Well, we prepared a document. And we said, and many people played a role in it, and I approached many academicians to play a role in it. When we did that document and gave to Niti, the Prime Minister in his own style, then had asked the secretaries in the Government of India to prepare their side of the story vis-a-vis the academic side which IGROW has done. And they prepared it. And then Niti brought them together. So what you are looking at Viksit Bharat 2047 is not a fruit plucked from a tree. There's lots of work gone behind it in the academic world, in the bureaucratic world, at the politicians' level. And then this idea is now taking shape. While all this was happening, I was of the view that Viksit Bharat would mean per capita income. We are at 2,880 USD. If we want to enter the club of Vixit, we have to hit a per capita income of about 18,000 in next 22 years. 6.5% growth, which is the fastest in the world. Congratulations, but will not take us on that journey. We need to grow at 9%. Can we grow? Are we crazy? Korea did it between 62 and 89. And 62 to 89 were not easy years. The oil shocks, the decoupling of the dollar from the gold took place at the very same time. 8%. China did it 9.9% from 1980 to 2012. And that period also was not easy. Russia was crumbling. Middle East was in deep trouble. The global crisis had taken place. Challenges are always there. The victory against the toughest challenge is the celebratory victory. Can't be shy of it. And can't let somebody get away by saying, oh, the world is passing through uncertain phase, Trump and his tariffs. Therefore 6.5% is enough. Sorry, that's not enough. We have the wherewithal. We have the minds. We have trained economists. We have experienced economists. Given a chance, given an opportunity, they can crack it. We need to grow at 10%. Now, how do we grow? The country, any country for that matter, needs to grow on two bases. One is the labor, the other is capital. If you do not have labor, capital will not help you. If you have labor and there is no capital, you still can't grow. That brings me to my third anecdote. I was doing my MPhil studies in Trivandrum. Professor I.S. Gulati was the head of the planning department, planning commission of Kerala government. He called me to his house and asked me one day, Charan, you are from the Reserve Bank of India. I need some help. In Kerala, I have been offered 1 lakh hands. 1 lakh hands. That means 50,000 people for 1 year. And I have been told they are at your disposal. Please help Kerala economy grow. So for 1 week, me and Professor Gulati brainstormed how to use those 1 lakh hands. And we reached a conclusion: without spades, without trucks, without equipment, without capital, we cannot do anything with 50,000 hands. This is 1987. Labor without capital, capital without labor cannot lead to growth. Today, we are the luckiest country on the planet. We are the only country on the planet which has demographic dividend. We are adding 1 crore youth into our labor force every year. And this privilege we have for next 20 years. There is no shortage of capital. Neither in the country. Banks are flushed with funds. The stock market is rolling. FDI is coming in. India is a lovely destination. The world wants to come and participate in our growth story. There is no shortage of capital. There is no shortage of labor. If you do not engage the labor, whatever said and done, they are getting wasted. And labor, when getting idle or wasted, will obviously indulge in either drugs or like Maoist activities. We have passed through that stage, we know it. Therefore, they have to be engaged mentally and physically. They have to be made tired by evening. And next day morning, they have to be invited again for some work. Labor is available, capital is available. What is stopping us? And if you look at the Viksit Bharat definition which the government of India is now giving, is talking in terms of zero poverty. We have already tasted reduction in poverty in the last few months. Lovely articles by Bharat and Charan Singh and the World Bank studies. Maybe it is the acute poverty which is down, but it is down. Maybe it is because of the free rations we give, or free medicines, or free insurance services, or Ayushman Bharat. Whatever said and done, we have tasted how to bring down poverty. We can bring it down. Female labor force participation has to increase. It's around 22% now. Imagine educated female who has the capacity is not able to work just because there is not enough crutches in the country. Whereas the global average is 60%. Neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, 80% female labor force participation. In our country is around 22%. I think that is one area, and the Viksit Bharat talks about it. Talks about the farmers playing an important role. But all I'm trying to now come out and say suggestions is, we in Punjab, while the rest of the country is looking at it from various different angles, we in Punjab have to look at it. Because I'm sitting in Punjab, CRRID is in Punjab, I'm going to make some specific suggestions. But I want to share the fourth anecdote with you before I come to it. I do not know how many of you know the story of taxes instruments and how Bangalore got these technology firms like Oracle, all of them come into Bangalore. Did they come straight away? Taxes, for example, wanted to go to Maharashtra's commercial capital of the country. They wanted to go to Tamil Nadu because Chennai is there. How did Bangalore go and get them? And got them in 1985. And then Oracle came and others came and Bangalore became a great hub. And our youth from Punjab, from the best agriculture, best engineering, best universities, now go to Bangalore and work there. So that anecdote reminds me, and I can share this with you. Chandranaidu Babu is trying to do the same again after what he did in Hyderabad. He is exactly trying to replicate it. In Visakhapatnam, you might not have heard about it. You know there are economic zones. He is coming out with a medical zone. A single place, 85 hospitals. Name a specialization. You are in Visakhapatnam, they'll have a treatment for you. Such vision with which these people are working. And our youth are gravitated to those places. There's a lesson for us. If they can, we can. And there's nothing new. I was reading the history of the Sikhs and the cities that the Sikh Gurus made 300, 400 years back. They would buy the land and set up a city. Amritsar, the famous city, developed when? 300 years ago, 400 years ago, that's all. Anandpur Sahib, another city, developed. 10 cities have been developed between 1539 and 1675. 10 cities. In Punjab, have we set up a new Jalandhar, new Ludhiana, new Chandigarh? Why? Yeah, but that is all I'm saying is there are ideas which within this country rest of the states are experimenting with. They're attracting industry. They're running after major industries and getting them into their state. Texas Oracle in Bangalore is a crystal clear example. I did my PhD in Sydney. Beautiful city. But they set up a new capital, Canberra. And I said, why? And they said the amount of commerce a new capital city generates is immense. And I said, wow, why in my own country, in my own Punjab, I can't think of those lines. I was reading again about Amritsar. The amount of commerce that Amritsar created, the trade hub that Amritsar became. The British had a landline and a railway line into Central Asia, which is the railway track is still sitting there today, and into Europe from Amritsar into Europe, right? So when 300, 400 years ago, in lieu of trade, commerce, employment, such things could be done. They can be done even today. You have seen what happened in Mahakumbh. Number of people who visited and the amount of commerce that has been created in UP opens up a new, totally new idea of religious tourism. And in Punjab, actually if you look carefully, from the times of the Vedas, the Mahabharata and the Sikh gurus, everybody has historical ties in Punjab. When we talk of religious tourism, we can have multiple circuits of religious tourism in our own Punjab. In addition, village tourism is becoming very famous. Over and above it, for whatever reasons, past deeds, Punjab has become the cancer capital and kidney failure capital of the country. But do we have, like Chandrababu Naidu's Vishakhapatnam hospital cluster economic zone in Punjab? If not, why not consider it? New cities, tourism, which is a low-lying fruit, helps you in a very big way. It creates jobs. It creates easy jobs. Little investment in an airport, little investment in a tourist spot opens up many job opportunities for the youth, hotel industry and the complete ecosystem in the region. I think that we can do to begin with. I want to come now to my fifth anecdote, and that's the last anecdote. I was doing my postdoctoral studies at Stanford for a year and a half. As you know, Stanford and Silicon Valley are hand to hand. I used to obviously interact with lots of people in the Silicon Valley. Many times I would wonder, and I was just around 43 at that time, myself dreaming of a startup. I used to wonder, what is that they see, the angel investors? What is that they see and give money to an unknown person and in millions? They told me they look for passion in the belly. If he has fire in the belly, if he has passion, we are willing to put our money and risk it. And I said, is that all? And many of them told me, no, that's not all. We are not going to give to a naive person if he has passion. We want a well-trained person. We want an educated, skilled person. We want a person who can articulate and tell us, report us what he is doing with our money. Is that all? Then they told me, actually, Charan, we look for one failure. I was surprised. One failure? Yes. If this person has failed in his project once, we know he has learned his lesson very well. Success never teaches you a good lesson. A failure, a single failure teaches you a massive lesson, which you can't teach in a classroom. So they said, if there is one failure, this boy is our darling. We are willing to invest anything in him because we know second failure he cannot handle. And first failure has taught him enough that he will take enough precautions. Now remind yourself of the young boys and girls who came handcuffed at the airport in Amritsar. They had one failure. In Punjab, it's a culture. Child is born later. Parents want the child to go abroad. They invest in it. My parents invested in my education. The youth here got invested in their visa to go abroad. They failed in their venture. All of them didn't fail. Only some of them failed. The ones who got caught, the ones who went into that country. But you send people from here to every country. That few boys failed. Did we nurture them? Did we care for them? Did we provide them any insurance? Did any one of us, the religious institutions, the public policy experts, anybody said, child, don't worry, you failed once. Don't do it again. You've already learned your lesson very badly. Now, either open your venture here or carefully plan your things. We shunned them like they are a pack of. But that is true for each one of us. In our families, in our daily life, are we able to handle a failure? I've never seen anybody handle a failure. You, me, everybody wants all the time the child only to succeed. And probably that is why we are not ready for a failure. I want to now, having shared some of the thoughts which other states are adopting and which are easy to do, of course, I can touch upon good education, ensuring good health to the employees and to the workforce, taking care of lactating mothers and young girls so that stunting and wasting is avoided through free rations or fortified food. All those are, of course, very well known and need to be done. And in the Vixit Punjab document, they're very well listed there. I want to now move into my conclusion. Have you noticed in your neighborhood, the child enters 10th and the parents have a spring in their feet? You know what? I'm training my child to be a medical student or an IIT. There's a spring in the walk of the parents. All they have done is recruited him in one of the quota institutions. That's all. And then the child clears the medical entrance. And then you should see the family, how they walk. And the grandparents, even the servant of that house has a spring in the feet. And then the boy enters IIT, right? And you know what? He is IIT. Don't ask which course, but he is in IIT. And now I've seen even the pet dog of that house is bouncing all the time. I'm asking a single question. I asked one elderly man, he has just entered IIT. He said the future of 2 more generations has been secured. He's entered IIT. He'll marry a girl from IIT. So marriage is done. Now both IITians, their children will also go to IIT. Now they'll go to MIT. Right? If we are entering Viksit Bharat in 22 years, is there a spring in your feet? In your walk? In the auto rickshaw driver outside? The taxi driver? The professor? The bureaucrat? The local politician who won the election yesterday or will win tomorrow? Do you see a spring in their feet? Do you see a bounce? No. How will that come? We are about to enter Viksit Bharat. We are about to become a Viksit Punjab. It will come when we will plan. We will strategize. We will start investing in it. we will again have to start from universities and colleges. There'll be debates, there'll be thrill, there'll be excitement. Then it'll translate into ground reality. It's time for celebration, but celebration without preparation is not going to happen. That preparation time is now, and we cannot waste it. India obviously will reach a certain destination by 2047. Are we in Punjab ready for it to match it? Or from the number 1 position in 2000 to number 14th position in 2025, will we be at 28th position in 2047? We have to decide. Thank you.